Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, folks?
This is not a test. It's not a recording.
I see what you did there.
You saw that? Thank you. I liked it too. That was right off the top of my head also. This is live. Jay Ray, we have not been live in some weeks now.
Yeah, we have been. I was traveling for my family reunion, so we pre-recorded that show. By the way, shout out to Kelvin Watson. If you have not heard our libraries and literacy show, y'all need to go back and watch that because that joint is full of gems. It also kicks off our Queue Up the Vote, and then of course last week we were in Atlanta for CMP's James Baldwin, and then we went to Brooklyn. So we've been on the road.
Listen, so I know y'all saw the recap that we did while we were in Brooklyn at the Star Bar, and there was no exaggeration. I was fried. I don't think I've been so exhausted in my life, but that was just a taste of what tour life is going to be for Q Points Podcast. Yes. And so, it's going to be hotels and planes, trains, and automobiles. The hotel was not glamorous by any means.
No.
It was very no frills, but you know what? I love the experience.
Yes.
We had a great time catching up with the folks at Banji Boombox. Shout out to DJ Liquid. Yes. Shout out to DJ Mary Mac and all the fam that we got to meet in person, all the connections that we made. It was truly, truly an awesome event. Well, it was truly an awesome time to spend with you. Yeah. As you all know now, the event didn't take place because it got rained out.
Yes.
Mother Nature had her own plans for that day, but luckily enough, of course, one monkey don't stop no show. DJ Liquid is working behind the scenes now on setting up the new date for Banji Boombox. So stay tuned for all of that. Of course, Q Points being the media partners that we are, will let you know exactly when that's going to happen next. But Jay Ray, let the people know what exactly they can do to get t-shirts like what they saw us wearing in the clips and the pictures from our Wow Weekend in Brooklyn.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you can hear our voices, see our faces, we really appreciate you. So to get that gear, you need to visit our store. First and foremost, that's store.qpoints.com. Store.qpoints.com has a whole bunch of stuff. We have bags, we have shirts, we have mugs, we have everything that you need to be fresh. So summer is winding down. We know y'all are finishing up your parties for the end of the summer. If you want to have something fresh for your Labor Day barbecue, you need to go on over to the Q Point store and pick you up something. We got something for everybody over there. So as I mentioned, you can hear us, you can see us. This is absolutely free. The fact that you are tuning into the show, the fact that you are interacting with us, by the way, shout out to those folks that are already tuned in. Definitely let us know where you're tuning in from. But the fact that you're tuned in is free. That is incredibly important. So thank you so much for doing that. You can do us a solid by sharing the show with your friends. If you enjoy Q Points, share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, because if you like it, chances are they will like it. And we just really appreciate y'all. Visit our website, qpoints.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter and read our blog and do all kinds of other stuff over there. Thank y'all.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, because we know that Q Points Podcast is so addictive, and we're really
good job.
We're super duper fly. I'm not, I'm not gonna hide that fact. Again, it's just a recipe in our cookbook of the way we put together shows and just do awesome podcasts like the one we are during this episode, where we are going to celebrate the legacy of I can't stress it enough, intergenerational excellence, just a pioneer, a visionary, you know, she's down to earth because we all live in the real world, and she's her mind is out of space at the same time. And I'm trying to think, did I miss any of them?
Uh, uh, I think you got all the. Did you do? You
Wait,
didn't do. Okay.
wait, here it comes. So
You're like, nope. There's one more. I got it.
you know, every day we live our lives putting this podcast together. It's always under construction. So this episode is no different, because J-Ray, we want to give flowers up and give it up to the one and only Missy Misdemeanor Elliott.
Yes. So yes to all of that, and I would like to say something to the people listening and tuning in, Sir Daniel, because I just want y'all to know we can't possibly cover everything associated with literally be here all night and into tomorrow breaking down all of the things. So what we will be doing during this conversation is contextualizing her work in kind of the landscape, because she's literally, Sir Daniel, like shifted the way hip hop as a musical form moves. And coming into the game, like hip hop was already 20 years old by the time Missy showed up as a singer. You know what I'm saying? And then shifted everything. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So I just wanted to let y'all know. Y'all gonna be like, y'all not gonna talk about all the stuff she wrote and all this stuff. Baby, how we gonna talk about all of that? How we gonna talk about it?
Like J-Ray said, manage your expectations. We're going to pinpoint some very specific things and have some specific discussion around them. But J-Ray, you're absolutely right. We've been talking about doing a Missy episode for a minute. And I think it all started because of Friday, November 4th in 2023, when Missy Elliott became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for her impact as a hip hop performer, phenomenon, and an overall titan of Black music creativity. Think about that, in the 50 plus years of hip hop, because that's what we were celebrating last year. No woman behind the mic, behind the scenes, none of that. No woman has received that accolade in the realm of hip hop until Missy Misdemeanor Elliott. And we have our own theories of why that is, or, you know, and maybe it'll come up in the discussion that we're having on this particular episode. But let me just run it down, just a quick history of Missy for you all. For those who don't know, and if you don't know this kind of stuff, then you're not a real fan. But but Missy Elliott is straight out of Portsmouth, Virginia, which is also home of your favorites, the NERD, Nerd, those brothers. Like when you think, I don't know what's in the water in Virginia.
It must something in the water in Virginia.
In Virginia, Teddy Riley.
Yep.
Teddy Riley is really out of Virginia also. Yep. So there's something about Virginia in the water that just brings something different to the musical landscape. But in 1988, Missy and some friends started an all-girl group called Phase, which later on became Sista. And then she joined forces with her classmates Timbaland and Magoo. They all went to school together, and they started recording demos and just doing stuff that burgeoning talent does. They get in the studio, they write songs, they produce demos. Well, in 1988, around that year, Sista joined Devontae Swing's Swing Mob, and brought along, of course, Timbaland, Magoo, but also in Swing Mob, hosted, like I said, by Devontae of Jodeci, if I didn't mention that. You had Genuine in the camp. You had Tweet in the camp. I mean, these are heavy hitters. Now, but they all started together in that that music, that environment of the swing mob,
basement.
the basement, where all they did was eat, sleep, and breathe music. So of course something wonderful was going to come out of that. And so April 1993, this is a very pivotal year, and it's something happens in April of 1993 that will kind of color and shade Missy's music industry experience. She gets credit for writing and performing along with Raven Simone on Raven Simone's debut single, That's What Little Girls Are Made Of. Some of y'all remember that because she was, she had on the baggy clothes, and it's Raven Simone. Yes, she's doing the bogle with her fingers. She's in a Jeep that she can't drive.
Right.
So speaking of the Jeep that she can't drive, the person driving the Jeep is singing Missy Elliott's part. And
we love that. And we love that person.
We love that person. That person is actually Monica Payne,
right,
of the Girls fame. Some of you, if you're a real true schooler and know your R&B history, you know about Monica Payne and her stint with the Girls, as well as the group Terry and Monica. And then she also became a industry insider after that, she still works in the music industry. So anyway, that happened because Missy Elliott was not invited to be in the video. And of course, we're going to discuss why she was not invited in that video later on. But I'm sure you can figure out why. So that goes on. She and Sista get their own record deal, and they released their album in September of 1994. I think we all know the song, The Joint with Craig Mack, brand new, that came out of that. And so, and all of us were like, who is this ficky girl? Who is that? That's where we start to see glimpses of the brilliance of Missy in this girl group. And we're like, who is she?
Right.
And then, they kind of fade away after that. And I think Missy at this point is like, I don't want to be a performer, but the iconic record industry executive Sylvia Rhone offers Missy Elliott a deal that she cannot refuse. She is begging Missy to please sign a deal to be a solo recording act. Missy's like, I'm cool on that. I don't really feel, I don't want to be up front. And we have theories about why she possibly didn't want to do that either. But Sylvia Rhone is like, I'll sweeten the deal, and I will give you a record label, an imprint on the the Elektra, under the Elektra umbrella, which becomes Goldmine Records. And from that point on, we start to see this magnificent, this flourishing music and artistry come from this one woman, along with her super friends, which is what her collective is called. And J. Ray, in only the amount of time that she's been an artist, she's only released 6 albums.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But she's, on that amount of time, she's won every ASCAP songwriter award that she was nominated for. She's won it.
Yeah.
She's got all the accolades that you can think of. And in 2019, she was actually admitted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So that is just to bring you up to speed on what kind of beast Missy Elliott is.
Yes. A couple of things that I want to note as well. For folks, if folks go back and listen to Sista's Brand New, you can hear what Timbaland and Missy will end up doing. So, the interesting thing about that record too is Brand New didn't become a thing. The label didn't know what to do with it, So, what happens back then, like they'll put it away and All of that happens. But now when you go back and listen to it, you realize, this didn't, because I remember Sista and I remember Brand New, and I remember that I liked it because it was like, Devontae affiliated, and I was like a
Mm-hmm.
huge Jodeci fan at the time.
Right.
But I also can admit I don't think I understood it. Now, when I listen to that song, I'm like, oh, I completely get what they were doing. And then you have Missy Elliott as a heavyset black woman on leads,
Yes.
leading the group. There was so many different. So you have the sounds as part of the beat, that are kind of beatboxing as part of the beat. You have this heavyset black woman singing, leading this group through, right? Dark skin, a heavyset dark skin black woman.
At that, yes. Which
leading
is
this
unheard of at that time, right?
At that time, right? So, but now when you go back and you listen to that, you hear the determination, because one of the things in getting ready for this show that I realized, Sir Daniel, is many people would try to conform.
Mm-hmm.
Missy did not try to be what the industry was at the time. Like, she was always like light years ahead of what people were doing. That's why those songs. So when we listen to Sista now, it still sounds like the future.
It does. And shout out to, and rest in peace to Craig Mack, who also made a cameo on brand new single, who was also, ahead of his time as well. And you're right, those songs still hold up to this day. And J Ray, we got to let the audience know that the reason, or not the reason, but my reignited affinity for this topic of Missy Elliott got stoked up again because I recently went to the Out of This World concert. First of all, shout out to my best friend Daryl. Daryl took me as an early birthday present. Shout out to best friends that that come through like that. And we were down on the floor, as you can see. We were down on the floor.
That is close.
Close. The tour, of course, features Timbaland, Busta Rhymes, and shout out to Busta and Spliff Star. Like, talk about seasoned showmanship, and their family and their friends at the same time, and it comes across on stage. Just the two of them, and they rocked it. They absolutely rocked it. And of course, Ciara doing her thing, who has grown as a performer. But the piece de resistance, that Missy Elliott, the combination of the theatrics, there was if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but there's an ongoing theme of The Wizard of Oz, and the dancing, the visuals, because he is a visual artist. There's a lot of things being raised in the air and people flying around. It was, I agree with you, Kyriakos, in the chat. It was the absolute best concert I have been to in a long time. I am not afraid to admit I started crying a little bit during the performance, because I was sitting there just thinking about seeing this girl, being introduced to this girl when I was 19 years old, and thinking, maybe this is just another flash in the pan, because you just didn't know a lot of groups came and went in the early 90s, right? But here is this grown woman who celebrated her 53rd birthday last month, out on stage giving 100% with rapping, singing, choreography, remembering where the marks are, because she's got to get on this floating platform and rap to us from the sky. It made me think of I had those flashes of, we've seen Beyonce flying through the air on Renee during the Renaissance, but this part right here where she's floating on the platform, I thought about Tina Turner. It made me remember Tina Turner and that moment where Tina was standing on that crane out amongst those thousands of people with nothing holding onto her, no harness or anything, just pure guts and singing her brains out. Missy is carrying on that tradition. At 53 years old, mind you, which is you're supposed to be old and washed up at 53. But no, sis came back around and sold out the arena, and she has been selling out arenas across the country since the beginning of this tour.
So, couple of things. The fact that this is her first headlining tour is crazy, because I didn't realize that until obviously they started doing the promo. So this is her first headlining tour. I caught a piece of an interview that she did for like CBS or ABC or one of the people. This is what came across. And Sir Daniel, I loved that you were like, let's call this the ministry of Missy Elliott, because I feel like what Missy was saying was God is the leader of this thing. Like, the reason why this is going the way that it is going is because it's already anointed before we go in the room. So there is a ministry to this that she is able to lean into. So that's one thing. The other thing that was apparent in that interview, because the interviewer asked her, who is Missy Elliott? And she, without missing a beat, was like, Missy Elliott is a genius, is a visionary, but also is very humble and very shy. And I'm like, she is fully aware of who she is and what her worth is. And that's not, there are so many people running around here talking about that they geniuses. Missy has been showing us her genius for more than 30 years. So she can sit in that seat and say, no, like, look at what I've done.
She's absolutely the real deal. And I don't want to negate the fact that this is a woman who has suffered with Crohn's disease for years. She is at a point in her life where she did was she stepped back and she took care of herself. And she's got, like most of us, she's battled her weight for most of her adult life. Now she's at a place where she's comfortable in her body, and she's able to get on stage and give it 100%. I mean, like we like to say all the time, running circles around a lot of these new acts. It's not a joke. It is not a joke. I really want aspiring artists to look at this woman and look at her work ethic and look at what it takes to actually entertain people. And you might not be able to do it on her level because, of course, this is 30 years of work. She's got the flash and the poom bow to give to us because that's 30 years of work. But you can build up to that if you're serious about it. If you're serious about your artistry and who you are and as a person in this industry of music and artistry of music. But you know what? You mentioned something earlier when talking about Missy fronting the band Sista as a thick up, chunky, whatever you want to call her, dark-skinned black girl. Those are three things that really don't, a lot of people that are the powers that be, especially back then, the gatekeepers and the people who sold images, they weren't having that. Dark skin and fat. Oh no, we can't do anything with that. Now, if you're super talented, what they will do, J. Ray, is they will you know what they do. They'll get you to sing and they'll make an album and all of that. But when it comes to promoting you, you're only going to get these pictures.
Wait, the picture's going to be from here.
And that's it. They're not showing your body. They don't care about your body. They may or may not have you in the music video.
Your own damn music video.
In your own music video. And the industry is just notorious for that. It was notorious for that. And so I think we need to take time to discuss the physicality of being Missy Elliott and what comes along with that with hair. Like first of all, Missy, when she was with Sista, they had the typical black girl slick down edges with the fake
ponytail.
ponytail, which was cute, which was
Right.
and uniform, so it made sense, and also became their logo because their logo had the
Yep.
ponytail with the swoop in the back. But that's such a black girl thing. Seriously, that's such a black girl thing. And then when she came out again on her own, she came out with finger waves. And J. Ray, finger waves weren't necessarily celebrated,
No.
especially outside of the South.
Yep.
And outside of the East Coast. Finger waves weren't always necessarily celebrated. It meant you had short hair. It meant you had hair long enough to do anything with.
Yeah.
And again, she's a big girl.
Right. So there's a lot of things. So you said something earlier, and I think this is the perfect time to bring it in. I can't imagine what Missy, knowing what the industry was like, her existing in her body, and then people telling her, no, I need you to be out front. So it almost, in a lot of ways, I'm sure, colored her rhyme style, because she's like, I have to make the rhyme so big, so then people are paying attention to that and less attention to like me. Like really doing that, because you are correct. At the time when we finally get Missy again, the first time I remember seeing her again was Gina Thompson, the remix. And then we get the he how he, and then it's like, wait a minute. And I remember hearing that on the radio before I saw the video. So, and then when I saw the video, I'm like, ain't that girl that was singing in that Sista song a few years ago? I didn't know she rapped, right? So, and then seeing that it's Missy, and of course she got like a jersey on or whatever. It was hip hop style, it was like a tracksuit, doing, in the 90s, whatever. The confidence of the way she had to show up, the confidence that she displayed in how she showed up, and the talent of it. It was like, okay, this is different. Busta had already been doing his thing, right? So we were about to get woo-ha. It either had come out or it was coming. So she was almost like the woman version of that. And him in so many ways, right, having to overcome a lot of that as well. Like in terms of look stuff and what hip hop was moving to. I feel like they, in so many ways, were kind of walking this parallel path of like, in order to stand out and be taken seriously, we have to do something different. And I do want to bring in this statement from Kyriakos, because I think this is interesting. What Kyriakos in the chat in YouTube, shout out to Kyriakos, shout out to Trey, shout out to Leah Barnes has a great podcast called In the Mix with Leah B. She's over on Instagram. She shouted us out a second ago. But Kyriakos said, Missy really studied Michael Jackson and built upon that, in my opinion. Kyriakos, I'm curious. I would love for you to expand on that in the chat. But that's a really interesting thing. Because it was very clear why I thought that was interesting is it was really clear that Missy studied, and looking at the concert, she studied the greats and was like, I have to be that. So I have to be unique. I have to be different. I have to have my own style, and I have to lean into it.
So one of the stories that's always stuck with me about Missy is that she's an only child. And that's something that I immediately resonated with me, because I'm also an only child. But she tells the story of creating an audience of her dolls and performing for them.
That's adorable.
And so in that, I get it. It became all too clear to me. It was like she has been visualizing these moments since she was a child. And so it doesn't surprise me that Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson, very visual artists, are people that she likens herself to and that she studied, because she had a lot of time to do that. And as an only child, your imagination is truly your
Mm.
best friend. And so that's why she's out of
Mm.
this world, for lack of a better term. But I want to go back really quickly. There's a point that I don't want to miss. Shout out to Sylvia Rhone,
Mhm.
because
Ooh.
Sylvia Rhone is an executive in this industry. She's also a Black woman. And so I'm assuming that Sylvia obviously knew what Missy looked like
Mhm.
and said, you absolutely have to be in front. You absolutely have to be a solo artist, because there are girls growing up who will look like you and need to see you, and need to see you be the front woman of whatever it is that you're doing. They absolutely need to see you. And so shout out to Sylvia Rhone for possibly at that point seeing something in Missy that Missy couldn't see. Because a lot of times it takes somebody on the outside looking at us to tell us, no, you're great. You need to stop playing the back and playing yourself down. You need to be up front. And so I think after she unlocked that and broke the barrier, broke out of that mindset of what I should look like, what a Black woman should look like, and move forward, continue pushing the envelope. Because, and we're going to talk about She's a Bitch in a little bit more, but one of the things I remember specifically was when She's a Bitch came out, she was actually ridiculed for the moment where because she's in complete blackface and painted black, bald, and this very kind of harsh, very strong image of, but she's absolutely a woman with diamonds studding her face and everything, and the studs, and just how people were they were using terms like cyber mammy to describe Missy Elliott. Yes, because she was animated, because she danced and she did all of those things and she smiled. They were calling her a cyber mammy. But what she was doing, to your point, I believe, is she knows what she looks like, but she's like, I have got to really entertain you all, and I have do whatever it takes to really entertain you, and I'm doing it all. I'm not just a singer. I can rap, I can sing, I can beatbox, and then on top of that, I can do an 8 count. And then what y'all don't know is I'm writing all these songs for these up and coming artists.
I think this is a good place. Yes to all of that. And I think this is a good place. Before I do that, the diamonds on the eyebrow, you know, when I immediately saw that, I thought of Nina Simone, who used to do that. And I saw that as a callback. I don't know if Missy has ever said that, but I saw that as a callback to also Nina Simone. But you mentioned something earlier. I know we're about to talk about the landing of Supa Dupa Fly, which we'll get to in a second. You mentioned this earlier, and it's so important. There are 2 women, there are 3 women, it's really 4, in music whose hair has never been out of place. Missy Elliott is one of them girls.
Absolutely.
Missy Elliott has never had a bad hair day. Show it to me. If she has, I need you to show me, because Missy Misdemeanor Elliott ain't never had one.
She's gonna give you a nasty swoop bang over one of her eyes. She's gonna give you a bob. She's gonna, in the early 2000s when those flip wigs were really popular, she's gonna give that to you. But you're absolutely right. Missy Elliott would never give you a bad hair day.
Ever.
Her, Dana Owens, they all had. I mean,
Dana Owens has never had a bad hair day.
Those are the queens of the hype hair covers. They are hype hair majesty. But no, you are absolutely right. All of that plays into, and that reminds me, because the Supa Dupa Fly album cover, she's rocking. First of all, And first of all, she was always fly.
Always.
Literally.
Yes.
Like she had the custom made baseball jersey with the fly on it on the Supa Dupa Fly album cover. She's got the swoop bang.
Yep.
And but on top of that, so the album, we've got a great visual of her.
Yeah.
But then when we get into the album,
okay.
When we get into the album, we're already given I Can't Stand the Rain, which is already blowing our minds.
Right.
Visually, the sound is different. Hype Williams, we're introduced to Hype Williams.
She's like, she's okay. We're gonna talk about Sir Daniel. I remember when, so you get the intro, right? You get the album. We got to listen to, because back then, kids, gather around. You would get the album, you would get the CD or the cassette, whatever you were getting. It's 97, so it could be either or. You would pop that joint in. If you was in the car, you would play it in the car, wherever. CD, your CD man, whatever. I remember the intro. Didn't surprise me. Busta Rhymes, intro. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
And then Missy. When that, I said, oh, is this, yo, hit him.
It's
the
first
beat to the
double spitting lovely.
And it don't stop. Bruh. I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is track 1.
Out the box. First of all, this is Missy's solo album, the first track on Missy's solo album, but she has Lil' Kim open it up for her, which means that Missy's not scared to share the spotlight with a bad bitch. She's like, okay, Kim has already been out here. Kim has already killed the scene, has already carved the lane out for herself. And on top of that, they're friends.
Yes.
And so of course she's going to. Do you realize how many of the hottest female rappers of the time were on that album? I mean, we've got Kim and we've got Da Brat on that album. I'm trying to think of who else was.
There was a bunch of them in the videos. Was Mocha on this one? I think Mocha showed up on the second album. Yeah, I'm looking. Mocha showed up on
a remix. She showed up on a
remix. She showed up on the Hit 'Em With the Heat remix. Yep.
Right. But what we see is that Missy is already grabbing her girls by the hand and bringing them along for the fun. Yes, you're right. In the Supa Dupa Fly video, Kim was in the video.
Yeah.
Yo-Yo was in the video. There was like a lot of cameos of people that were like, oh, okay, Missy's cool with everybody. Missy's cool. You know, she's got people that want to be in the video, which made it even more special. But yes, you're absolutely right. Her kicking it off with Hit 'Em With the Heat and letting Lil' Kim open up, cracking it open with that rhyme, that was one of the first things that you memorize off of that album is that verse, because it kills. And then we get Sock It To Me.
Then we get Sock It To Me. Then you get The Rain. Then you get Beat Me 911. Pass the Blunt is coming. Friendly Skies with Genuine is coming, right? Best Friends with There's so many joints on this record.
It's crazy. Released just last month in July 15th of 1997, kids.
Man.
That's 27 years.
27 years. And what's crazy about this record is it still sounds fresh.
Hey friends, hey, this is Lisa Woolfolk from the award-winning Stitch Please podcast, and I need you to help me get my Stitch together. We're celebrating 5 years of the podcast and a new chapter of Black Women Stitch. This summer, we're launching Stitch Betta Have My Money to amplify abundance as we raise $50,000. After surviving a white supremacist terror attack in 2017 and being rejected by white quilters afterward, I founded Black Women Stitch to love Black sewers out loud. And we've reached listeners in 83% of the world. Volunteers have saved us $600,000 in essential services, and Patreon peeps help us keep the lights on. Black Women Stitch and the Stitch Please podcast are relocating to Massachusetts for the 2024 academic year. $50,000 will stabilize operations and payroll for our 2 producers, content creator and project manager. With your help, we can continue to help you get your stitch together. Donate today at stitchbettahavemymoney.org. Thank you.
So, something you said earlier, something you said on a previous show, rather, I think is really important now, and you echoed this on this show. We need artists and commercial artists today like a Missy, so that young girls, like when you're talking about the girl who's on the reality show, so that they can look to and be able to like see what's possible. I think Lizzo was trying to do that, and it didn't it's not Missy. You know what I'm saying? What Lizzo was doing is not, what Lizzo was doing is fine. It's just not what Missy was doing. I think the point I'm making is we need more Lizzos. We need more Missys. We need more of these women occupying the space in the commercial space, and not being boxed in. To your point, Sylvia Rhone had to figure out, or had to be like, this is different. It sounds like nothing that anyone else is doing. And Sylvia clearly was like, I can sell it. You know what I'm saying? We could sell this. We need more people taking chances, because I do think that Missy was like willing to go so far that you had to be willing to take a chance. And so this record was like one big chance of like, this is either going to work or it is not. And it worked.
And clearly it did. It worked. And to your point about Lizzo, I think Lizzo lives in the legacy of Missy Elliott. She's continuing it, because what you were going to get from a Missy Elliott is, like I said earlier, is like Missy understood the importance of showmanship. Early on, we saw that. We saw that she was not afraid to go all out for an image, if it meant a costume that was out of the ordinary, if it meant being painted up like a Barbie doll and moving yourself mechanically to the beat, mind you, man, moving yourself to the beat. And beatboxing, like, let's hold it real quickly right there. There's not a lot of women that carried on the legacy of beatboxing like Missy. You had, you know, Baby D, of course, was part of JJ Fad. She does her beatbox. K Def from the, oh God, what was the name of that song? I can't. It was from back in the 80s, but she was beatboxing on that. But beatboxing is a hip hop tradition. It's a hip hop tradition that sometimes gets left by the wayside because a lot of people don't take it seriously, because there was a kind of a comic aspect to it. There's something funny about it. You know, of course, we have the human beatbox. We got Dougie Fresh, but Missy including sound effects in her rhymes, in her rhyme schemes and whatnot, was just like something that typically other women weren't doing. And she was like, nah, I gotta really push myself and push my pen and push my showmanship to another level, because there's a lot riding on this. A lot of people, I've got a lot riding on this. And so, to your point about that, but, you know, and dancing. Now, and this is in the beginning where she was, like we said, she was a heavy set girl, but she kept up. She was working with Fatima, hi-hat, all those choreographers and stylists, but she kept up. She did not, I don't think she never said, oh, I'm just going to sit back and let the dancers move. No, I'm going to be a part of this ensemble, which was very clear during the concert.
Well, and I think to that point, so we talk about beatboxing as, you know, that's just such a core element, and you're absolutely right, we leave it behind. But Missy also respects the importance of the dancers. It's very much like what Janet Jackson does. Like, it's very clear that she understands that part of hip hop tradition is you have like a DJ person, you have like an MC, and then you have dancers, right? And as an MC, I got to get it on the dance routine because that's part of the show, right?
Exactly.
And I want, okay, another lesson, gather around. More MCs need to do that today. More dudes need to do that today. We talked about this a gajillion times on the show. Big Daddy Kane was doing full out choreography. It was Scoop and Scrap and Big Daddy Kane. They was doing the dip and the throw and the whatever. They can't do none of that now because they're
older,
right?
Yeah, they're seasoned.
But I think that idea of incorporating all the elements of hip hop that Missy could do. And I think I said this as we were preparing for this show. It was so easy to forget that Missy was a rapper too. Even though she rapped all the time, it just always seemed to me that she like rose, like she did like so many things that it would be like, so when she would end up on like top 10 women MCs of all time, you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Missy does rap too, but she also sings and she also writes and she also dances. She also like visualizes all of this stuff. And she just transcends. So which of course, as we move through the albums, we'll definitely talk about She's a Bitch, which is from the second album, The Real World. But I also remember crossing over. So when Miss E's So Addictive came out, what was it? Get Your Freak On. My God in heaven, that song. I never have to hear that song again. Love you, Missy. Every white person I knew.
My God. I just remember something really funny. Go ahead, finish.
But the crossover of that song, and it became a pop culture phenomenon, which of course was not Missy's last, because then you get Work It, and then you get like all of these phenomenon songs, right? Missy was responsible for at least 3 of them. But Get Your Freak On, yeah, crossover. But then she had so many other joints on that particular album. 1 Minute Man was on that album. What was the joint with Eve? Was on that. For My People was on that album.
My People, yeah.
Yeah, and Missy all of a sudden is like a pop culture mainstay.
So, memory unlocked. It's 2000. When did So Addictive come out? 2001, right? 2000, 2001?
2001.
2000. And I'm working at HMV Record Store. And I remember this at Lenox Mall. So if you've ever been to Lenox Mall, you kind of have a visual idea of what it was set up. The store is kind of big. And there's an the entrance to the store has like a little walkway. It's almost like a runway. It's a runway, basically. And there are listening stations on either side. Of course, racks of music everywhere. Part of what working there, what we got to do is we got to pick the playlist of the CDs. Yes, CDs, ladies and gentlemen. CDs that we got to play that day in rotation. Of course, we had a huge CD multi-disc player. And so I decided to I picked So Addictive that day and put it in, and just being mischievous, I saw a group of kids outside of the store, and our manager, just like you at the time, he had it with hearing that song.
Had it.
He could
Get
not.
Your Freak On. Had it.
Shout out to Jim, white dude. He was cool, but it was like, I can't take that song anymore. But I saw these kids outside, and I was just like, Jim, you can't deny the power of this song. Watch this. And I hit Get Your Freak On. And as soon as you heard that, it was like the Pied Piper. Those children stopped made an about face, and literally came into the store dancing. I mean, they came in the store doing that dance that Missy does,
This
that
is some new.
almost crip walking into the store, and it was like a ton of these kids coming into the store, and literally there was a dance party in front of the register. That is peak Missy Elliott magic in 2001, and lends to, like you said, the power of the crossover, because it wasn't just black kids. I mean, these were white kids. I mean, they came in by droves. We saw a few more copies after playing it, and people were dancing into the store. And just that moment in time, it was like she really just morphed into this whole new category of artists, where she started being referred to as an artist.
Yes.
No more just a rapper or singer. She started being referred to as an artist.
Yes.
And I think that can't be understated in this conversation about Missy and the impact and the crossover of that particular album. Like you said, after that, things kind of lulled, things kind of slowed down a little bit after Under Construction, because of course she experienced some personal tragedies.
Yep.
We all experienced them with her.
Yeah.
And we experienced a world tragedy with the World Trade, the World Trade Centers being attacked and destroyed in front of all of our eyes. So I think those moments really changed the way we felt music, and music was very important at that time. It was either going to make us happy or it was not.
Yeah.
At that time, it was very important for messages to be given to us, for us to have fun again. And Missy was a part of that healing.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree with all of those things. And I think even though things had like slowed down, it was interesting because, like we said, like there was for Under Construction, that's where Work It was. You know what else was on? So interesting story. This actually unlocked the memory. So Gossip Folks was on that album on Under Construction too, and of course that called back to the Double Dutch Bus. Fun Johnny fact. I don't even know if you know this, Sir Daniel. We have to do better about taking care of our artists. Frankie the Frogman Smith is from Philadelphia. So during my college days of working in the recording studio, Frankie came in. Frankie was he was being a featured artist on some song that I can't remember who the song was for, but Frankie was coming in. He was going to do a rap and like do his Frogman thing. And Frankie Smith was the sweetest dude. Like, he was the sweetest dude. And Sir Daniel, he didn't make a damn dime off of that song that he wrote because he signed a shitty deal. The Double Dutch Bus was a huge song that he should have had a nest egg for, and he didn't have one because of the way the industry was at the time. Fast forward couple of years later, so when Under Construction comes out, I am working at Independence Blue Cross in Philadelphia. I come downstairs one day. Who is there? Is Frankie the Frogman Smith. I'm like, Frankie, oh my God. He was like, oh my God, Johnny. I'm like, oh, I work here, whatever. And he was telling me, he was like, listen, man, I'm trying to, he was like, I have talked to Missy's people. He was like, I'm trying to figure something out because, obviously she was calling back to the Double Dutch Bus.
Yeah.
He was in the video. I think he was in like the video on the bus. There's like a bus in the video, and I think Frankie's driving it. But anyway, he was really excited about the fact that the work that he had done was being recognized in kind of this new space through Missy. So Missy was once again calling back to hip hop history, and a piece of hip hop history that I guarantee people did not remember at the time. So I'm glad we're having this show too, because we get to call in the name of Frankie the Frogman Smith, who is from Philadelphia. He passed away several years ago now. But Frankie Smith was also another one of those pioneers early in the hip hop game, doing stuff, just trying stuff. And we got the double Dutch bus out of it. Give me a hole if you got your funky bus fare, with that deep voice. Yup.
And we got pig Latin rapping out of it.
Yep. Yeah, the double dessert, you know. Yeah. So, even during that time, to your point, and I think you also called it back again, like we needed to feel good. And there was some of these songs were kind of doing, which is why I think Work It worked, which is why I think Get Your Freak On worked. They made people kind of do a thing, you know, do a little jig.
Yes.
Missy was always making us do a little jig.
You know, I'm sure all of those songs got played at every bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, wedding, cookout, everything you can imagine. Those songs, that's how songs become a part of the fabric of America, have become a part of this country. And yes, you're absolutely right. I kind of want to switch gears a little bit and talk about something that Kyriakos mentioned in the chat as well, about the theme of female unity.
Yes.
And one of the things that Missy Elliott is a unifier of Black women.
Yes.
In hip hop, in R&B, but just in period as far as behind the scenes. And it's so obvious because of all the people that have worked with her. Of course, people want to work with her because she's the hottest producer. But what Missy did specifically, if you look at all the people that were her proteges and that she introduced to the world, the majority of them are women. Yeah. The majority of them are Black women. Yep. And I think it started, even though Aaliyah was already introduced to us, but I think we're all in agreement when we say that Missy and Timbaland kind of redirected Aaliyah's, reintroduced and redirected Aaliyah's career to us.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of probably saved her from some other stuff.
Yes.
But, but then you get the Gina Thompsons.
Yes.
Then you get the tweets. Oh my God.
The Nicole Ray. Shout out to Nicole Ray. Lady Ray running. Baby, listen.
Crazy. Shout out. And Missy's got such a good ear. She picks singers. Little Mo is reckless when it comes to her vocals. Little Mo is be out here singing. And then she 702, SWV. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's only one girl group that didn't get a chance to sing.
And they wanted to. And I think an Escape Missy Elliott collab would have been great. So apparently, Tiny talked about this. She was like, nah, we was really trying to get in the studio and work with Missy. It just kind of never came together at the time. But I would have loved to have seen that collaboration. And maybe we're at the point in the world where we can get a Missy Escape song. Like, as I still think it would go off today.
Yes.
But to your point of lifting up this idea of Missy being like that girl who could get all of these women to the table. You know what I'm saying? And you brought this up when we were meeting, Sir Dayon. I definitely want to bring it into this space because I see it in my head right now. Of those 4 Black women smiling, you got Missy, you got Aaliyah, you got Brat, and you got Kim. Mm-hmm. And they're just like having the best time.
I forgot together. What campaign it was for, but they were all wearing like these black robes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they're having a photo shoot and having the the time of their lives. Let's not forget the Not Tonight Ladies Night remix video. I mean, you
You're not gonna be having me was it singing hooks.
Well, I look like Pat LaBelle or somebody.
Oh, what a night. You should be like this instead of being like
I had to tie too excited. You know, all those videos look like fun.
Yes.
You had Mary in the video, you had Changing Faces, Escape, SWV. Everybody who was anybody was in Kim's video. Left Eye, the other member. Well, I didn't see the other members of TLC, but those videos were fun. The Lady Marmalade project.
Woo!
So now you've got, not only is Missy reunited with Kim on a record, but she's got Maya, Christina Aguilera, Pink. I mean, it's just, and that song, that collaboration, first of all, helped Missy and those girls get their first Grammys.
Yeah.
Like those, they can all honestly say they can say that they are Grammy winners because of that project. And it just shows that there's so much strength. I don't understand why nobody's tried to replicate or at least try to create some type of magic like that again. Because those projects, like a Ladies Night, Not Tonight remix and a Lady Marmalade, were so much fun. We benefited from seeing all those women work together and putting a song together and a video. Nowadays, that's like pulling teeth. I don't know why they don't understand. They could win. They could possibly get Grammys by coming together and collaborating.
Bruh, there was a point when, and it's the beautiful thing about success is people get a chance to make their money and kind of do their own thing. The downside to that is everybody is kind of in their own silos and kind of, in their own things doing. I guess it kind of parallels the internet a little bit. Whereas, before you had to be out and kind of about and around people and kind of mingling in the industry and getting to know people. So these women had to know each other. They had to like meet one another and like be in a space and be like, oh, you dope. We should do something together and let's figure it out, right? Whereas now there's not as much incentive or ability to even do that because it's not just about the music anymore. Remember at the time when they was doing this, all the stuff that these women were doing was music. They ain't had no fashion lines, no perfumes, no cookbooks, no flatware. They ain't had none of that shit. They was just rapping. Now it's like, when do you even have time to build relationships like that and get into the studio with everybody? Because girl, you got to sell the ab workout that you got.
I literally said this the other day. I forgot what the context was, but I said that a lot of artists are so busy being QVC salespeople now that they can't concentrate on perfecting shows or any of that stuff. You are absolutely right. Egos get in the way, and it's such a shame because it's like there's a generation of women artists that can actually say, I was a part of that magic.
Yes.
And now there's a whole generation where, they have little moments here and there, but they can't say that they have a Lady Marmalade or they have a Ladies Night. They can't say that. But that's all to Missy Elliott's credit because a lot of those collaborations come because she worked with each and every one of those women individually at some point, and then was able to say, hey, let's all get together and do this. I know we've been flapping our gums for an hour now.
I know we gotta move to our next segment. Can we do one thing though before we go?
Yes.
Two things. One thing I just want to say, I loved when Missy evolved to the no Monica. I used to live for a Missy Elliott announcing what we was about to get. No Jasmine. I love that era. Can we talk about Missy and Missy? Can we talk about Missy doing all the nasty sex songs?
all the nastiest, the pussycats,
Yo.
the meltdowns. Don't I look like a Holly Berry? So this is what was so funny about Missy. And Jerry and I had this observation. It was like Missy wasn't physically able to sell sex, but she didn't mind talking about it. She would get on a rap and say some of the nastiest rhymes, and you'd be like, Missy, go ahead on now, Missy. I think that was part of her allure, is that she can do that. But I think, okay, so here's a theory that I had. I think the way she would play around with sex is that she would always say something self-deprecating first, because it would take us off guard. Yes. That she's talking about sex, but then she would do something that would make us laugh. And then bring it back. Oh, that's just Missy being crazy. Does that make sense? Because like she'll say something, don't use something about cherry thumbs, look like Nia Long, and you're like, huh? Wait a minute. Is she serious or she's being funny right now? Just the whole Pussycat Fail Me Now. I got to turn this out. He don't want
nobody else but me and only me. That is my jam. Okay.
Listen, the way Tweet was carrying on.
Carrying on.
Tweet was singing for her breakfast, lunch, and dinner on that song. And you know what? We were robbed, because allegedly in the atmosphere, they said that there was supposed to be a Janet Jackson remix.
Baby Janet would have went off on Pussycat.
All of us would have had our wigs blown back. But I think the nastiest song, well, not nasty, but the most explicit song that Missy, to me, ever did was Meltdown, where she was basically saying her lover was a terrible lover, and that she, like, damn, if only he was better with his love tool, if only he was better with, I wish you had that magic stick. But Missy that's part of her brilliance, though, is being able to be sexual but not disgusting, because people would say that I don't remember what they were saying about her versus Kim as far as being sexual, but to me, they were on the same playing field. Kim and a Missy Elliott as far as their sexual content.
No, absolutely agree. I want everybody to go back and revisit the Missy Elliott catalog and lean into those slow jams and them R&B joints. Them joints is nasty. Missy is always singing or rapping about sex stuff, and it is fascinating.
And she's always going to give you in the background. I love it. But that never stops her. And I don't know, she just has this magic about her that makes her your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Yeah.
And Lil Wayne has said it time and time again. Missy Elliott is his GOAT as far as rappers. And there are not a lot of men that would admit to a woman being their favorite MC.
I think it was, I know that we've definitely talked about it on this show, but I think Busta has said it too. If there was a versus, Missy is the only person that he could do a versus with.
That's it.
I don't think there's nobody else that would even come close. It would have to be her.
Yeah, and that was all too evident during that tour, because they shared the same energy, the aesthetics, all of that. That's what made this show a perfect marriage. But J-Ray, we have been talking these people's ears off.
I'm gonna put my air on. You see, I'm sweaty. I got it sweaty in here. I'm gonna put the air on.
It's Missy talking about Pussycat that got you swaying. Thank you for sitting through this episode and listening to us go on and on about Missy Elliott. J-Ray, let's just remind the folks one more time, because I think we got some new viewers. Let's just let them know real quick how they can continue to be ongoing viewers of Q Points Podcast.
Thank y'all so much for hanging out with Q Points tonight. If you can see us, if you can hear us, That is an incredibly important thing. We need y'all listening, watching the show. Y'all can do us a solid and share the show with your friends, family, colleagues. If you enjoy Q Points, chances are they will enjoy Q Points too. And it's a way to spread the word about the show. So please, please consider sharing the show. And that is free. Other free thing that you can do is visit our website at qpoints.com. You could join our newsletter. You can read our blog. You can just go around the website and kind of hang out, read all about Q Points and what we got going on. That is free too. If you want to get some of the fresh gear that Q Points has, you can visit our store at store.qpoints.com. We have shirts, we have hoodies, we have mugs, we have bags, we have everything you need to stay fresh. And it helps us to keep the lights on over here in Q Points land, y'all.
That's right. Couldn't say any better. So, as I always say, in this life, we have a choice. We can either pick up the needle or we could let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J Ray, y'all.
And we put our thing down, we flipped it and reversed it. This has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We'll see you on the next go round. Peace.